The Lobito Corridor has been described as a historic turning point for Africa's connectivity and trade, a strategic route linking Angola, Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo to the global markets through the Atlantic. Supported under the EU's Global Gateway Initiative, the corridor promises new opportunities for investment, critical minerals trade and industrial growth. But while optimism runs high, questions remain. Who will truly benefit? How sustainable is this project? And will it help countries like Zambia move from exporting raw materials to building strong, value-driven economies? I sat down with the EU ambassador to Zambia, Karolina Stasiak, to discuss this. Welcome to This Day. My name is Justin Mulenga. European Union Ambassador to Zambia, Karolina Stasiak, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a very important moment for Zambia because we're having the European Union Zambia Lobito Corridor Business Forum. And one of the things I'd like us to start off on is you just speaking to us on the significance of such an event like this one.
Yes, thank you very much for the conversation. The Lobito Corridor Business Forum that we have organized jointly with the Zambian government is a major flagship event for the EU and Zambia partnership this year as we celebrate 50 years of EU-Zambia partnership. It's a flagship event on one of the key priorities of our partnership, the Lobito Corridor. Why is it so significant is that this is a corridor which is not only a transport corridor, an infrastructure project, but also, first of all, an economic corridor. This Lobito Corridor is an African project between Zambia, DRC and Angola. It's one of the strategic projects that are also endorsed by the African Union. There are 12 such corridors across Africa to connect Africa to the world markets, to improve connectivity within the regions, within Africa, but also connect better Africa to the world markets. This particular corridor will link Zambia to the Atlantic Ocean through the port of Lobito in Angola. And the European Union is very proud to support the development of this Lobito Corridor in the three countries and as a regional project as well. So this corridor has huge transformational potential for Zambia in particular. The Copperbelt and the northwestern provinces are the major regions in Zambia for mining, for agriculture, for market access. So this corridor will help unlock the potential, bring more economic activity, in particular to the northwestern province. We also talked about today urban planning, very important urban development. People are moving towards the opportunities that the Lobito Corridor will provide, and it is crucial to take it as a whole ecosystem. And this is how the European Union also sees our support to this huge and transformational project.
I'd like to talk about some of the things that have already happened. I know for a fact that the event has been a success for many, and we've been able to see the EU Commissioner also be a part of specific things, like him talking about the railway services support program, looking at the partnership between Zambia and the EU when we speak into the education reforms here in Zambia. Let's speak more on that and what this simply means for Zambia and the European Union.
Yes, absolutely. So indeed we had, in addition, or among the more or less 1,000 participants of the forum, we had high-level participation from the European Union, the EU Commissioner for International Partnerships, as well as the Vice President of the European Investment Bank joined, His Excellency the President, but also a number of cabinet ministers of Zambia in this flagship event. This shows not only the political commitment from both sides, the EU and Zambia, to this project, a commitment to joint to mutual interest between EU and Zambia. And what it means for the Zambian population is that along the corridor there are huge opportunities. People refer to the corridor as a spine of development, as corridor of opportunity. The European Union, as I mentioned, has been in Zambia for 50 years. And we are building on this more traditional development cooperation that we have had with Zambia over these 5 decades, contributing to development of energy infrastructure, of empowering communities through agriculture, small-scale, smallholder farmers, helping them with, grow their produce through entrepreneurship skills, through access to markets, jobs. Alone within the infrastructure project, there will be huge opportunities for job creation, training and skills along agriculture, raw materials, value addition, energy. This is also something that European Union considered as key for the populations and for the youth to have these opportunities to grow their employability, to find jobs along the corridor and the different opportunities that there will be. But also, I mentioned in the beginning the urban development. Opportunities will drive people's movement also to the northwestern province. We heard this morning that population in the northwestern province has tripled in size over the 20 last years. This will continue with infrastructure development. So we also have to be very careful how we make this development inclusive, how to bring people along, how to inform everybody about opportunities, but also how to make sure that these developments are well planned, well prepared, and that schools, health centers and water sanitation can be also a part of this more economic corridor project. And as I said, traditionally, the European Union has been supporting the development of Zambia in those areas, and now we are also trying to leverage the private sector investment in all these areas, not only to the actual infrastructure, but also to urban planning and to energy, raw materials value chains, and agriculture sectors.
I'd like to speak more into just that. You indicate the aspect of equal partnerships, opportunities between the European Union and Africa, to be specific, Zambia, seeing that this event is taking place here in Zambia. One of the concerns that comes from the many Zambians who have criticized, this particular partnership on the Lobito Corridor is that there will be overdependence on exporting of raw materials, and this obviously serving the needs of Europe. How do you respond to criticism in that what is happening here does not favor, what the European Union wants to do, or European countries, but it speaks more into the industrial growth of countries like Zambia?
Like I was mentioning, our partnership has been long-standing. Our commitment to Zambia's development has been there for 50 last years, and we have developed a strong and solid partnership where we have contributed with grants, only grants. We don't have any loans in Zambia, so I want to make it clear that we are functioning with grants, and we have supported Zambia's development over 50 years. But this particular project, we are trying to mobilize private sector because this is a huge project that is costly, and the public money alone will not suffice to cover the entire ecosystem that I was mentioning. What the European Union is focusing on is the local value addition. So we don't want raw materials to be exported to Zambia. We are actually discussing concrete projects, how we can process cobalt here in Zambia, how we can potentially even support the development of the first cobalt processing plant on the Zambian soil, on the African soil, which would be in Zambia. So we have identified a strategic a project which was born in Zambia as a strategic project that we could support and develop, so that Zambia can really reap the benefits of the endowment, of the rich endowment that it has in raw materials that are essential for everybody's green transition. Not only Europe's, but the whole world will be looking towards Zambia in need of the raw materials. But what we want to ensure is that as much as possible of your raw materials are processed here, that the value is added here in Zambia, that this value addition benefits the communities, creates jobs, creates skills, upgrades Zambia, and that Zambia can really play a huge role in the global green transition.
One of the things that I do recall is the Joe Biden administration having to support what's happened here, the Lobito Corridor. But since the change of presidency in the United States, and we've seen what's happening now, that the current president, Donald Trump, has been signing quite a number of executive orders. But with the change, of presidents, does this in any way affect the implementation of the Lobito Corridor with what is happening in the United States?
I will not comment maybe on what is happening in the United States, but what remains clear and strategic is that the Lobito Corridor definitely is going forward. It's, like I said at the beginning, an African project between the three countries, Angola, DRC and Zambia. And there are European Union, as testifies today's forum, and huge interest that we have been able to mobilize for this event shows that there is huge potential and huge interest. And I don't think that even if the support by the United States, it may be not very clear or not very exact to what it could entail. I think there is huge interest from the European Union, but also other partners. We have contributions from EU member states, Italy, other member states are also looking into concrete support possibilities to the Lobito Corridor. But I think opportunities are huge. This project is definitely going forward, and the EU is proud to support under our Global Gateway strategy, which is our investment strategy that brings together the EU, the member states, financing institutions, and also catalyzing the participation of the private sector, which is very necessary, as I was explaining.
Right. And do you think that these private partnerships are proving to be fruitful? Because sometimes you find that the private sector would not really want to participate in specific projects, and there are quite a number of examples where we have seen the government here in Zambia consistently calling for private-public partnerships, and this has been the same song they've been singing for quite some time. But do you think that with the Lobito Corridor, we will get to see the private sector jumping on board?
Absolutely. I was very happy to hear that over 360 B2B, business-to-business meetings have been held so far as part of the forum. So this really shows clearly, we brought 300 companies to this forum, both Zambian, European and companies from the region. So and this is a platform where companies can connect with each other, that they can discuss the opportunities, they can discuss the challenges. Those who are already here on the ground, they can share also how things are done here, what is needed, what to be careful about. The European Union also supports reforms. Whenever we support a particular sector, we always bring also the regulatory support to what is going on in the policy reforms which are driven by the government. We always support in view of making the business environment more friendly and to also help de-risk with our instruments the investment in a country like Zambia.
I'd like to speak about these critical raw minerals. Our president a few weeks back did announce and appoint 6 ministers to see to it that the critical raw materials value chain is formalized. And with that said, I know that this is something that the European Union has been talking about with relation to protecting the human rights along the critical raw materials value chain. How are you going to ensure that these human rights are protected, not just for Zambia, but the countries that are involved within the Lobito Corridor?
Absolutely. So we have with Zambia a strategic partnership on critical raw materials value chains development. And this strategic partnership is not only about creating local value, like I was mentioning earlier. It's not only about creating enabling infrastructure like energy or transport corridors, but it is also about local beneficiation, about protection of human rights, about applying the highest environmental, social and governance standards. I was mentioning the reforms for the G from the ESG. Environment, we haven't talked much about environment. This is a value on which the European Union is based, the environmental protection, fight against climate change. In everything that we do, in all our investments, the European Union is bound by these standards, and we want to promote them also here in Zambia. When it comes to the S, the social dimension, inclusivity, we have programs on business and human rights to make sure that businesses are aware of the human rights that they are bound by international law to respect. We work with Zambia on developing of a national action plan on business and human rights. These are key issues that are really close to the European Union's heart, and we promote these democracy, human rights, transparency, access to justice as well. We have a program we have built on a positive experience of the European Union in a program on access to justice, where we provide paralegal support, assistance to communities in other regions, and we have now brought this particular project to the Copperbelt and Northwestern Province to ensure that citizens know their rights, that they are aware, but also that they can make use of legal assistance should their rights be violated, should there be displacement because of a mining installation. So human rights and communities, it's really at the heart of our partnership and at European standards and European values. We are not doing investments or infrastructure development at the expense neither of the environment nor of the communities or people who live around the corridor, but on the contrary, we want to empower communities, connect economies, because this will also help improve the livelihoods of people who live along the corridor, and also social standards, labor standards. We are bound by very high standards in Europe, and we are also applying them when investing in third countries like Zambia.
While we agree that this is an opportunity for inclusivity and an opportunity for growth, it being within the transport sector, the Lobito Corridor, there is another aspect that critics say will be highly affected, and maybe jobs will be lost, especially for the locals. And this is the side of how goods and services are provided for by road. Is the European Union also looking at this side of things, in that even as we're talking about the Lobito Corridor having to cut down on things like the travel time, cut down or play a role in ensuring that, we continue fighting against climate change?
Absolutely.
What happens to those who have jobs in the transportation of goods via road?
As activities will multiply and they will grow, first of all, every railway needs roads as well. So we are at the same time as we are thinking of a railway corridor, we are also developing the road infrastructure. The European Union has supported over decades Zambia in developing road infrastructure. And around the Lobito Corridor, we have also projects of connecting roads to the corridor, to the railway. I mean, the goods need to be offloaded from rail to road and be transported within Zambia. So while we have also committed to supporting the rehabilitation of Zambia Railways, as you may have heard, on Monday we signed a 50 million euro grant to Zambia Railways to support the rehabilitation. We are also working on the road infrastructure, so that's I don't think this would affect in a major, as a major impact from the development of the Lobito Corridor. On the contrary, goods have to be transported to the communities through road network as well. And as economic activity in general will grow around the Lobito Corridor, there will be new jobs available in agriculture, in energy, in transport to bring those to the communities.
I'd like to also speak of what's happening in Angola, and there's been a concern specifically on the Angolan railway line and the freight costs, and there being a fluctuation of these costs and it affecting competitiveness when we talk about the Lobito Corridor and how inclusive it should be. Is the European Union looking also at seeing how there can be an even balance, and efficient competitiveness on the Lobito Corridor, and not seeing pricing fluctuating like the way it is in Angola?
It's a bit of a chicken and egg question, if I may call it like that. We have conducted a pre-feasibility study. We are conducting further studies on environmental and social impact assessments. But the viability, I think, like I said, it's a very costly project that, and it will. We can ask ourselves the question whether the infrastructure has to come first, and whether today or the projection in near future of goods transported on this corridor will compensate for the cost of the infrastructure, or should we first bring the economy and increase the economic activity around the corridor to make sure that then the railway, that everything is ready for the railway to be constructed and to be deployed. I wasn't aware of the numbers of the data that you were mentioning about Angola, but I think this corridor will create an increased economic activity, increased transport of goods from Zambia and into Zambia as well. So I think it will reduce the costs of transportation and by consequence of basic goods as well, where people can buy and afford more goods through more competition, more competitiveness here in Zambia.
I'd like to ask this question also, and this is maybe the biggest question that many of the locals are asking: what's in it for the European Union? There is obviously an amount of over $1 billion US dollars that has been will be invested into the Lobito Corridor. But with all this that the European Union is doing here in Zambia and the other two countries, what exactly is this partnership in it for the European Union?
So the European Union and Zambia have mutual interests. I was mentioning the green transition. Every country will need the minerals that Zambia is endowed with, and our interest and our approach is an approach which is a global one, which is a 360 degrees approach. As I was mentioning, we have this investment strategy called Global Gateway. So for us, while we will need the materials, we are interested in creating joint prosperity. So in developing value chains in Zambia, in making sure that the highest environmental standards are applied, when that the mining in Zambia doesn't harm environment, doesn't harm the people, doesn't harm the communities. This has been these are the values on which the European Union is based, and we apply it. We are bound by legislation, by treaties that have established the European Union to also promote those values beyond our borders. And in every investment that we undertake, they are, let's say, underpinning our activity. So what we want to see is a Zambia that is land link that is linked to the world markets, but on the other hand, that Zambia develops here, locally, the value addition that Zambia can process the materials that you have, which will bring more jobs, more transformation, more diversification also of the Zambian economy into sectors that require more skilled labor, more knowledge, more research, higher skills, and better paid jobs as well. So this is what we would like to see. The president said on Wednesday that Zambia is ready to grow and EU is ready to invest, said our EU commissioner. So I think this is a truly joint interest and based on a mutually partnership, that we don't have a hidden agenda. We have supported Zambia for the last 50 years and we want to continue this journey together for a future in which we all are interconnected. Today in a global world, everybody needs each other. So we want to build on this very good relationship that we have with Zambia. Zambia is a like-minded country towards with the European Union. We are based on our partnership is based on shared values. We believe in Zambia's future. We believe in Zambia's potential. And we are doing everything that we can, also now bringing the private sector in to catalyze this potential and to support what we have been doing and achieving together for over the last 50 years in this very promising and transformational project of the Lobito Corridor.
At the Lobito Corridor Business Forum between Zambia and the European Union, one of the things that has been noted is the participation of various energy experts, whether from the electricity subsector or the petroleum subsector. Zambia at the moment is dealing with an energy crisis, and I do believe that the EU is aware of this energy crisis. Does this in any way affect the plans for the implementation of the Lobito Corridor?
The EU over the last 10 years has been a major supporter to the reform in the energy sector in Zambia to allow small companies and even individuals to be part of the energy, renewable market in Zambia. We have supported with major project in energy infrastructure. Kariba Dam, for example, has recently benefited from a rehabilitation project that was financed partly by the European Union, significant contribution of 113 million euros. We have been working with Zambia on not only on energy generation, but also transmission lines, the reform, the diversification. We have equipped, for example, water utilities in solar energy so that they do not have to depend on the grid and that they can offload a little bit the burden from the grid. We have been working with the government on the reform on open access, like I mentioned, to energies. We have also we are supporting the investment and de-risking of investment in the energy sector. Climate change is here to stay, unfortunately, and it hits hard many countries, and we saw this terrible drought in 2024, where we have been able to also front load the budget support and ease a little bit, give some breathing space to the government to deal with the drought. So we are working on diversification of energy sources, and energy is of course also an enabler for the Lobito Corridor. So we have been discussing in several sessions during the business forum on energy and how we can, how important it is to continue investing in energy. And indeed, many of the companies present today are from the energy sector and have been able to discuss between the European and Zambian companies.
I know we've talked about agriculture. You did bring up the aspect of what's happening within the agriculture sector, and now we've touched on energy. But let's speak about mining, which is a conversation that Zambia, I think, has started from a very long time ago. And the president a couple of weeks ago did address Parliament during the State of the Nation address. And one of the things he mentioned is that as the close of 2025 nears, one of the things we'd like to do within the mining sector is see the production of copper hitting 1 million metric tons as it stands. We've seen a record of only slightly above 800,000 metric tons of copper being produced. But one of the question marks that come in here is at the Lobito Corridor Business Forum was the signing of an MOU between the Zambia Chamber of Mines as well as Mining Finland. And some experts say that when an MOU is signed, it ends just there on paper, especially within sectors like the mining sector, critical sectors like the mining sector, the energy sector. How can the EU ensure that what is being signed here is not just ending on paper, but is being actualized on ground for the sake of industrial and economic growth?
Absolutely. So we, I think I mentioned that we have a MOU on strategic partnership with Zambia on critical raw materials, and I'm happy to. So this MOU was signed in 2023, and I'm happy to report that we are fully on track in implementation of the different work strands under this strategic partnership, which is an MOU, but which is already being implemented. We developed together with the government a roadmap that for the implementation of the MOU, and we are working together with our member states already in implementing this MOU. I can give you a few examples. Like, for example, we are supporting the exploration work which is ongoing and that the government has commissioned. The European Union is supporting the Finnish Geological Survey in providing the quality assurance and of the data that will be produced by the geological mapping to explore and to see in more detail what Zambia is sitting on and what opportunities there will be. The Lobito Corridor is another strand of this MOU, so we are advancing well on the different strands of the economic Lobito Corridor. Energy is part of this as well. We mentioned this already. Human rights, business support to the communities. I was mentioning already in previously the access to justice. We are developing a program to help the communities being aware of their rights and having access to paralegal assistance. Business and human rights is also part of that MOU which we have been advancing on. So I cannot say that in the case of the European Union, we don't sign many MOUs, but when we sign them, this is something that is followed by action, by agreements. You saw that on Wednesday we signed 200 million agreements. So things which are already committed to. Some of them are have already even started and are ongoing.
I'd like to speak further into the mining sector, and that yes, the Lobito Corridor is going to focus on key sectors having access to this corridor, the mining sector being one of those. And when we talk about mining, the concern that comes up is that of how the focus is mainly on the much larger mining conglomerates and not the artisanal and small-scale miners, the locals who also want to have a share of mining. Recently, there's been a rush of the mining of critical minerals here in Zambia, like gold, like sugilite. How will the EU ensure that this corridor does not just focus on these much larger mining firms, but there is also fair opportunity for the artisanal and small-scale miners here in Zambia?
That is also actually our priority, to support the small-scale miners to upgrade their skills, to bring more value, to understand what they are working with, and to make the best out of the best value out of the work they are doing. We are supporting the government's strategy to formalize the small-scale miners. We have a specific program to support the small-scale miners with skills development, with awareness raising, and with entrepreneurship skills, so that they can not be just individuals, but can connect with other small-scale miners and create cooperatives and be better informed and better skilled in the work they are doing, so that they can contribute much better to the Zambia's GDP and also improve their own livelihoods.
I'd like to speak also on the aspect of access to finance, and this has been, I think, a
yes.
key concern, in that many would like to participate in some of these sectors, but they just don't have the money. I know that the European Investment Bank has participated at the Lobito Corridor Business Forum, and there are a number of partnerships that have been made between the European Investment Bank and local banks here in Zambia. Let's speak more into this kind of financing and how it's going to look into providing assistance to SMEs here in Zambia, either from the agriculture sector, mining, or any other sector that is critical in this case.
Yes, absolutely. Access to finance is key and critical aspect when it comes to the development of the Lobito Corridor, but any other big project like this. So what I think the value added, the most critical topic and the most critical value added of this business forum has been is precisely that, the access to finance, how to unleash the financing for the Lobito Corridor. We had a number of sessions here. We brought from the European member states the key actors, not only the European Investment Bank, but also the European EU member states financing institutions from several member states who were here, who were intervening in the different sessions, who had conversations with businesses, with government, to see how we can catalyze and how we can mobilize this financing to unlock these conversations and to make these conversations actually into practical projects. So these conversations have been happening here at the forum, and we are hopeful to have a pipeline of concrete projects that would be able to be financed and or supported by the European financial institutions. We have a number of projects already ongoing where we provide support, guarantees from the European institutions to the local banks here in Zambia to be able to lend money to SMEs, to smallholder farmers. We have several projects like this, and these are those who really reach the small scale, farmer, SME, startups as well, startups that are active in the circular economy space as well. We have a specific program on that. So I think we have a number of instruments that we are already putting into practice to support this more SME and startup ecosystem, but also during the conversations during this forum we brought the financing institutions from the European Union who have been presenting the different offer that they have to the Zambian banks and to the government as well.
Finally, my question is on when should we expect to see the Lobito Corridor be implemented? When will construction works happen?
So on this, I would rather refer you to the Zambian government. There were some dates which have been mentioned here at the forum. I think, well, the preparatory work is already underway. The feasibility studies I was mentioning, there are already plans for construction of support roads. The Zambia Railways will also be rehabilitated in parallel. So things are already moving forward. And if we talk about the economic corridor, I think the work has started already, because we, as the European Union, have been preparing for the corridor through geographically focusing of our activities in energy, in agriculture, health, education as well, human development, urban development, water sanitation into the Copperbelt and the northwestern region. So I can already very confidently say that the work on the Lobito Corridor as a broader economic corridor and a broader ecosystem has already started.
EU Ambassador to Zambia, Karolina Stasiak, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on your program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.